In this video, we're going to talk about Horizon report customization, flexibility, and really setting yourself up for success. Some of the customization topics we're going to look at is hiding items and getting rid of the things that you don't want. We're going to be able to set up presets. So this is content that you can add to your reports so you don't have to type it in over each time. We're going to take a look at sorting so you can have the most common items where you want them, and of course customization so you can start building up your own library of boilerplate comments to use and have at your fingertips. So let's go ahead and get started. One of the things I love about Horizon is it comes preloaded with over 6,000 items in the database. These are items, report items, to describe styles of materials or deficiencies and problems, and of course any kind of limitations or inspection methods. So everything that you need to write an inspection report anywhere in the country is already built in. That's a pretty rich database. There's a lot of content in there that you don't need, and we want to be able to hide some of those items. So we're going to run through the example and take a look at hiding some of the content. I know for a fact that the heating section and the system is built in with a lot of content there. So let's jump over to the heating section. And under the descriptions, as we scroll down, we can see that I've already entered in some items in this report, but there's a lot of other content here that I may not need to report on. So I can look at some of these disabled list items, and manufacturers or return temperatures are things that I don't need to report on, and I want to remove them and get them right off my list. So I'm going to scroll back to the top, and there's a button here called Show Hide. This lets you hide items from the database, and it's system-wide. So as you select an item, all the inspectors in their when they log in will have the same items hidden. We'll click Show Hide, and we can start scrolling down this list of heating descriptions. We can hide one or all of these items. Under system type, for example, if I don't worry too much about steam boilers or combination heating systems, if I click on that, we can see it gets grayed out and it's disabled. So you can have single individual items removed from the list. Electric plenum heater, I'll remove that as well. So those items will be taken off my list. When it comes to furnace manufacturer or boiler manufacturer, that's not really required by the standards of practice. It may be something that you do or do not need to report on. If I want to get rid of these categories altogether, we'll click Hide All. And you'll notice all of the items are grayed out now. And when I click Hide All here, we can see furnace and boiler manufacturers will be disabled. Let's go down to some of the other items. Let's say approximate age, supply and return temperatures. We don't really do these measurements, so I'm going to remove the supply temperature list, return, and temperature difference. When we go to the bottom and click back to report writing, and we scroll down our list, we can see that the items for manufacturer or return temperatures are gone. We can go ahead and hide other things. Another good example might be the heating recommendations section. This is huge. This is one of the biggest categories in Horizon. And as I scroll down, you can see we've got hot water boilers for gas, for oil, for electric heat, steam boilers. We've got hundreds of categories here. And this is a great opportunity. If you're not inspecting boilers, as one example, we can hide all of those categories. You'll note that I've got furnace categories for air filters, expectancy, most of the general topics for most furnaces. And further down, you have those same categories repeated for gas, for oil, for electric. And so we can go ahead and use Show Hide one more time and hide a lot of those other categories. So next we're going to talk about setting preset notes. And I'm going to go to the roofing section, and under recommendations, I've got a good example here. One of the things that we have a common comment that we say each and every time we find a roof near the end of its life expectancy. So when we see asphalt shingles and an old roof, we can see probably several different deficiencies going on with missing or patched shingles, granule loss, cupping and curling, all those kind of things are related. And whenever we select the defect near end of life expectancy, I have the same comment each and every time. In this case, I'm going to start building up my comment. We've selected the item. I'm going to let the client know that it's the whole roof or throughout the roof, that they should repair or replace it. We'll click on replace. I like to give folks a time frame, maybe immediately or within the year. You may or may not want to give folks a cost. In this case, I'm going to say it's a major cost, and then I'm going to check the box to say add this to the summary page. So now I've created a setting for this comment, so I don't have to select these in the future. And I'll go ahead and click next. So now that we're in the notes section, we can see that we've got our comments for location, task, time frame already set. It's pre-configured to go to the summary page, and I'm going to type a comment here that I typically use to let the client know the typical age and life expectancy of asphalt shingles, and maybe some of the other common conditions related to old roofs or any roofs that are near the end of its life expectancy. So we've got our note, and now we're going to click set. And now our default text is created. So in the future reports, it's automatically going to be configured to go to the summary page. It will include my notes and location, task, and time. So we'll click save and close. That preset is done, and I have the confidence to know that when any other inspector in my company selects that item, they don't have to do any typing. It's already set for them to go. Let's take a look at sorting in Horizon now. We're going to go ahead and click on the description section here for roofing, and let's take a look at sloped roofing materials and styles. So we've got a list of items here. Now we're getting into a little bit more of the customization. We'll click on the Customize button in the upper right corner, and our screen changes. You can see we've got this big blue border, and we're in the editing screen now. So if we want to sort comments, we can just scroll to our roofing styles and materials, and we'll click sort. I might want to take the gable style and description and maybe put that at the end because I want to leave my actual materials at the top of the list. We've already organized these as the most common order of items, but you might want to reorder these alphabetically. Maybe you have a different order of the most common items in your area. So you can just simply drag and drop to change the order. We'll go ahead and click save, and it's as simple as that. We can go to other sections and change the order, really to optimize and customize for your company the way you want things to appear. If we're happy with everything, we'll click back to report writing, and we can continue on with our inspection. If we want to still continue to do some more customization, we can go ahead and add more items. You'll notice that at the end of every category, there's a little button called blank item. Blank item, blank item. This lets you create a custom comment on the fly, and it'll appear just in this report one time only. If you want to create more custom comments that are permanent, let's go and click the Customize button again. We're back to the same editing screen. In this case, we're looking at the roof materials and styles. I'll click Create. This time I might create a new item, and we'll call this Dimensional Shingles. Some people call these architectural shingles. You can call them whatever you want. I've also got a short name option. This is great if you have a long string of text that you want to appear in the report, but you don't want a big long button on the data collection side. I'll give this a short name, and I'll just call this Dim Shingles. So the item name is what's going to be dropped into the report. The short name is just the button name. It gives you a smaller character, and we'll save that. So now I've got dim shingles choice or selection. I'm going to move that near to the top. We'll click sort, and I'll drag that after the asphalt shingles. We'll save that, and we're good to go. Let's go ahead and take another look at another example. This time I'm going to click on the plumbing section, and I'm going to go to the recommendations section. This time I'm going to add an example for earthquake strapping. I know that the folks in California are conscious about this, and when there's an earthquake, they need to ensure that the water heaters are strapped and secured to the building. So I'm going to do a quick search here. I'm going to hit Control F to pull up my find window, type in water heater, and I've got a few sections here. And this is good. So it takes me right to the section for water heater. I've got some general notes, and I think in this part here, I'm going to create a new comment for earthquake strapping. So in this case, the issue is earthquake strapping is missing. And I'll give it a short name. I'll just say strapping is missing, or let's just call it earthquake missing strapping. Perfect. We'll save that. So now I've created a defect for missing strapping. And if I go back to that section, we have our missing strapping. I'm going to click on it this time. So now that it's added, we'll click to edit this because we've got some more functionality. You might want to include a URL or a hyperlink to other articles. And I just happen to have one here. I'm going to go to another website really quick. And I've got this Earthquake Alliance with a good article about earthquake strapping along with some photos. So I want to include that into my comment, and I'll just paste the URL here. We might also want to add some implications. We know that if there's an earthquake and they don't have strapping, it's a chance of, let's say, ruptured gas lines or explosion. You also have the option to add illustrations. So we can just scroll or search the whole database of illustrated home images for any other illustrations here. So I'm just going to type in gas appliances and see if what we have here. This one just talks about flexible gas connectors, something else that folks may want to include and make sure that they have in place when those water heaters are shaking around. So now we've added a URL, an implication, as well as an illustration for this new comment. And we'll click Save. So now whenever we add this issue, we have missing strapping here as an option. I'm going to scroll to the top and click back to report writing. And let's go down and get the other item here for the general notes. Let's expand that one. And there we are with missing strapping. So as we mouse over, you'll notice the text that will go into the report saying the earthquake strapping is missing. Let's select this defect. We'll let them know that it's on the south side of their basement, and they should provide that earthquake strapping as soon or as practical. I think that's a summary page item, so we'll check to add this to the summary. And if we want to add more notes, we can, or we can set this as a default comment so we don't have to enter in these items all the time. I'm not going to do that in this example. We'll just click Save and Close, and we've got that item. It'll have the illustrations in our report. Thanks for joining me, and be sure to check out some of our many other videos on report customization and editing. Thank you.